I just wanted to provide an update since it's been about a month since I last recorded the push-up challenge video. Since then we've raised another $100 thanks to a friend of mine who contributed that amount, and on top of that I will be donating $200 myself. And with that being said, I do plan on closing the campaign in about a week after I post this video. Even though we didn't reach the goal of 2021, I am really appreciative of friends and strangers contributing to this cause that I'm truly passionate about. And on top of that, I will still be cutting my hair because that was part of the promise, and I will be creating a separate video for that, as I will also include in that video me submitting the funds that we managed to raise. And lastly, I do want to touch on a few points regarding the video itself, because I did have some problems with logistics, like my camera dying, my camera recording in only 20-minute intervals, and so I kind of had to switch to my iPhone, and that kind of provided a different angle of me, and so when I was reviewing the footage, my phone looked a little sketch. So I thought it'd be fun to just point it out myself, because if you ask past Miguel if his form was on point, he'd agree. As a matter of fact, let's ask him. We're live? And we're live. So here we are back on a Sunday, March 28, 2021, to interview Pastor Miguel and ask him to see how confident he was about his form during the push-up challenge. So Miguel, what do you think about your form during the challenge? Pretty damn good. Couldn't believe I was able to keep it up for 1,250 push-ups. Great. So you'd say your form was on point? Absolutely. Instagram worthy. Are you willing to bet your life on it? Easily. You sure about that? Yeah? Alright, let's review the footage. Okay.
Oh my god, he on X Games mode.
But in all seriousness, I did try my best to maintain my form. And if anything, that's good thing that I did a few more push-ups to kind of make up for my declining form. But yeah, without further ado, the video.
Let's go.
Hello everyone. So today is the day that I complete the push-up challenge that I set out for myself about a month ago. The purpose of this challenge was that for every dollar donated to my GoFundMe page, I would do 5 push-ups. And I just want to provide some context. So I started this GoFundMe page about 2 months ago now, late January, to fundraise money for an organization known as Versus Cancer. And what I like about this organization is not only do they fund research for children with brain cancer, they also fund the other side of this, which is the mental aspect, the social aspect, the impact that it has on family as well. So it funds hospital programs that provide social and psychological support for both the child and the family. And this funds toys, games, consoles, things that will allow the children to kind of have some form of normalcy in childhood. So yeah, that's why I started this campaign, I guess. And with that being said, so far we've managed to raise a total of $622, and $247 were out of those $622. $247 were fundraised in the 2-3 weeks that I put out this challenge. And I want to give a shout out to my friend Alejandro, who using his social media presence helped me get over half of that amount within those 2 weeks. So $247, $1 equals 5 push-ups. Putting these variables into E equals MC squared, we get about 1,235 push-ups, which I'll just round out to 1,250. And to make this a bit more digestible, since I did not practice or prepare for this, which I thought it'd be fun just to torture myself a little bit. I would be doing this in sets of 25, and the math kind of breaks it down to 50 sets. I will be taking about 30-second rest in between each set, and yeah. So again, I just want to say that since I didn't prepare, I created a list of excuses. Just kidding. I did say that I would finish those 1,250 push-ups regardless of how long it took me. So if I do start to fatigue or start slowing down, I would just increase the rest time rather than decrease the number of push-ups, just because I don't want to recalculate the math. So the rest of the video is essentially just me doing the push-ups, holding myself accountable, and you can see that I'm doing them. See that I'm gonna start suffering towards the end, and yeah. Thank you for your time, contribution in any way, whether we're sharing, reading, donating. Yeah, just thank you.
In the Western world, I suppose we have two dominant ideas about what happens to us when we die. There's the old-fashioned idea that after we die, we go to another world. I say old-fashioned, not to say it's out of date. We don't know what the answer to this is. But that's the traditional answer of the Western world. When you die, you go to another life. Maybe heaven, maybe purgatory, maybe hell. Who knows? I think nowadays, though, the more general idea, the more plausible idea to many people, is that when we die, we just cease to be. That's all there is to it. But we're inclined, I think, to have in our minds a picture of this, which indeed is depressing, of being shut up in the dark for always and always and always. To be kind of buried alive in a blackness where we are blind, deaf and dumb, but somehow still conscious. But in the Eastern world, there are different ideas of this. Think of it in this way. Supposing I make two statements. Statement one: after I die, I shall be reborn again as a baby, but I shall forget my former life. Statement two: after I die, a baby will be born. Now, I believe that those two statements are saying exactly the same thing. is not the end of consciousness. If we think of death as endless darkness, endless nothingness is not only inconceivable, but it's logically absolutely meaningless. Because we aren't able to have any idea, much less sensation of nothing, unless it can be compared with a sensation of something. And therefore, I think what is meant is that the vacuum created by the disappearance of a being, by the disappearance of his memory system, is simply filled by another being who is I, just as you feel you are I. The funny thing, though, about being I is that you can only experience this I sensation in the singular. You can't experience being two or three I's all at the same time. Now then, it seems to me that this idea has very important consequences. One is that the disappearance of our memory in death is not really something to be regretted. Of course, everybody wishes to hold forever to the memories and to the people and the situations that he particularly loves. But surely, if we think this through, is that what we actually want? Do we really want to have those we love, however greatly we love them, for always and always and always and always? Isn't it inconceivable that even in a very distant future, we wouldn't get tired of it? And this indeed is the secret of the thing. This is why the demon of impermanence is beneficent. Because it is forgetting about things that renews their wonder. Just think, when you opened your eyes on the world for the first time as a child, how brilliant colors were. What a jewel the sun was. What marvels the stars. How incredibly alive the trees were. That's all because they were new to your eyes. Or in the same way, you know how it is, you've been reading a mystery story. And you're looking around the house, want something to read, you pick up an old mystery story. If you read it years and years ago and you've forgotten all about the plot, it still excites you. But if you remember the plot, it doesn't excite you. And so, by the dispensation of forgetting, the world is constantly renewed. And we are able to see it again and again, and to love again and again, to have people to whom we are deeply attached and deeply fond, always with renewed intensity, and without the contrast of having seen them before, for always and always and always. Another consequence of this is a very curious realization to me. Who would I be if my mother had married someone else? These are the kind of questions that make us puzzle profoundly about our existence. I might so easily have been born in China and India. Why do I feel that the world is centered in this place, as distinct from some other place? In other words, you jolly well know the world is centered where you are. There is consciousness anywhere, there is I. You then, in a way, look out through all eyes, and that perhaps is the secret of the great virtue of compassion.
when your own inner sense of identity changes from being the separate individual to being what the entire cosmos is doing at this place, you become not a puppet, but more truly and more expressively an individual than ever. Well, now do you see the point? That everybody, if we transfer this to the dimension of spirituality, where the highest ideal is to be unselfish, to let go of oneself, when you are trying to be unselfish, you're doing it for a selfish reason. You can't be unselfish by a decision of the will any more than you can decide not to think of a green elephant. There is a story about Confucius, who one day met Lao Tzu, who was a great Chinese philosopher. And Lao Tzu said, "Sir, what is your system?" And Confucius said, "It is charity and love of one's neighbor and elimination of self-interest." Lao Tzu said, "Stuff and nonsense. Your elimination of self is a positive manifestation of self. Look at the universe. The stars keep their order. The trees and plants grow upwards without exception. The waters flow. Be like this. All your nonsense about elimination of self is like beating a drum in search of a fugitive."
When the police arrive on the first floor, the thieves have gone up to the second, and so to the third, and finally out to the roof. And so when the ego is about to be unmasked, it immediately identifies with the higher self. It goes up a level.
I had a friend who was studying Zen in Japan, and he got pretty desperate to produce the answer of who he really is. And on his way to an interview with the master to give an answer to the problem, he noticed a very common sight in Japan, a big bullfrog sitting around in the garden. And he swooped this bullfrog up in his hand and dropped it in the sleeve of his kimono. And then he went into the master, and to give the answer of who he was, he suddenly produced the bullfrog. And the master said, too intellectual. In other words, this answer is too contrived. It's too much like Zen. You've been reading too many books. It's not the genuine thing. So after a while, you see, what happens is this. The student finds that there is absolutely no way of being his true self. There is also no way of doing it by not doing it. Let me, to make this clearer, put it into Christian terms. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God. Now, what are you going to do about that? If you try very hard
Camera's
to love
about to
God,
die.
you ask yourself, why am I doing this? You find out you're doing it because you want to be on the side of the big battalions. You want to be right. After all, the Lord is the master of the universe, isn't he? And if you don't love him, you're going to be in a pretty sad state. So you realize I'm loving him just because I'm afraid. That's pretty lousy love, isn't it? And you think, that's a bad motivation. I wish I could change that. I wish I could love the Lord out of a genuine heart. Well, why do you want to change? See, I realize that the reason I want to have a different kind of motive is that I've got the same motive. So I say, oh, heaven's sakes, God, I'm a mess. And will you help me out? Then he reminds you, why are you doing that? Now you're just giving up, aren't you? You're asking someone else to take over your problem. So you suddenly find, you see, you're stuck. So in this way, what is called the Zen problem, or koan, is likened to a person who swallowed a ball of red-hot iron. He can't gulp it down and he can't spit it out. And so nothing can happen. Absolutely no answer to this problem. No way out. Now what does that mean? If I can't do the right thing by doing, and if I can't do the right thing by not doing, what does it mean? It means, of course, that I, who essayed to do all this, am a hallucination. This is the same paradox which the Christian knows in the form, whosoever would save his soul shall lose it. Now, I think that this is something of very great importance to the Western world today, because we have developed an immensely powerful technology. We have stronger means of changing the physical universe than has ever existed before. How are we going to use it? There is a Chinese proverb that if the wrong man uses the right means work in the wrong way. Let us assume that our technological knowledge is the right means. What kind of people are going to use this knowledge? Are they going to be people who hate nature and feel alienated from it? Or people who love the physical world and feel that the physical world is their own personal body? An extension, the whole physical universe, right out to the galaxies, is simply one's extended body. Now, at the moment, the general attitude of our technologists who are exploring space is represented in the term the conquest of space. And they are building enormous, shell-like, phallic objects to go into the sky. And this is downright ridiculous. Who is going to get anywhere in a rocket? You know, it takes a terrible long time even to get to the moon. And it's going to take longer than anybody can live to get outside the solar system, just to begin with. The proper way to study space is not with rockets, but with radio astronomy. Instead of going bang, you know, with a tough fist at the sky, become more sensitive. Be more receptive, and everything will come to you. Develop subtler senses. Let it come to you. If you want to think that human beings are the only sensible beings in the universe, then you make a great contrast between man and nature, and you classify nature as being perfectly stupid and automatic, whereas all intelligence resides in man. And therefore, boys, you've got to roll up your sleeves and fight this system, and make it accord with the human will. Well, all you've said by saying that is, I'm a tough kind of a guy. It's really what it comes down to. And I'm not pushed over by woolly ideas. On the other hand, if you can look at it from a completely opposite point of view, and you say, well, this whole world is an enormous intelligence. It's a great conscious being, and I'm one of its operations. And really, then I've said the other end of the stick. I've put everything up.